These are the most controversial TV shows of all time. So Hail Honey, I'm Home was a British sitcom that features Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun chronicling their love-hate relationship with their Jewish neighbors. Yes, that's real.
Wow.
Who's Your Daddy was a reality show with the premise being former adoptees had to find their biological father among a host of imposters.
What?
If they guess correctly, they get $100,000 and the father returns. If not, the fake daddy gets the money. The Swan was a show that took self-proclaimed ugly people and performed a 3-month extreme makeover using plastic surgery and therapists. This led to a lot of body dysmorphia, though perhaps not as bad as Are You Hot, which features a celebrity judge panel critiquing and evaluating contestants based on their physical appearance, even bringing out laser pointers to point out undesired hair and beauty marks. Boy Meets Boy was basically the gay version of The Bachelor, but the surprise being that half of the contestants were actually straight, which the leading man had no idea. And finally, Kid Nation was a show that took 40 kids and had them create their own functioning town in 40 days, which led to a lot of crazy moments.
Okay. So it starts out with a show about Hitler and Eva Braun,
Yeah.
which is bad by itself. But when do you think the show was out? Like what year did you think it was playing?
Well, I don't know. Probably in the 60s.
1990.
What?
Yeah. And it was in the UK. And they thought this would be a funny premise.
Oh my God.
And the next door neighbor was Jewish, a Jewish family. And I'm just thinking, what are you doing?
Yeah, seriously.
What are you doing? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know whose idea that was, but
And then that other show, The Swan, I remember when that was out.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, again, what are you doing?
yeah,
You bring in a bunch of people, you effectively call them ugly,
for sure.
and then you offer them plastic surgery. Is that something we want to be promoting as a society?
Man, I do remember watching that show too, and I don't know how long it was on the air, but I remember that was pretty popular.
It was pretty messed up. So I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about was, controversial TV shows.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple, and these are shows I actually like, but they tick people off.
Okay.
Like first one, South Park.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, the very first South Park out. Besides, I know there's like shorts and stuff, and people are gonna say, "Oh, what about Frosty versus Santa or Jesus versus Santa?" On okay, the very first episode out was Cartman gets an anal probe,
Yeah.
and I just remember watching that, thinking, "Oh my God, they're taking this to a whole new level."
Yeah.
And there's one part where Cartman is standing in a field, and there is an 80-foot satellite dish hanging out of his butt.
Yeah. It seems so ridiculous, but yeah, and it's just gotten like edgier and riskier along the way.
Yeah, I'll say now they tend to do more current events. Now, they've done current events for a very long time. There was that documentary called 6 Days to Air, where they basically show the reason why South Park, a cartoon, is current, because they can take the news and 6 days later they're on the air with their new episode.
Yeah.
But now they're owned by HBO. They can say and do much more things. Or I shouldn't say they're owned by HBO. They're on HBO. Or maybe are they on Paramount Plus now?
Oh yeah, they are on. Yeah, they are.
But are they all? They're also on Max, though, aren't they? HBO Max.
Yeah, they are on Max. Yep.
Okay. Either way,
Yeah.
my point is now it doesn't even seem like they're doing normal episodes. They're doing like mini movies. Have you seen the newest one, the Panderverse?
No.
Where basically all of these people that are claiming that everything must be woke is actually another reality which Cartman slips into, where everything is being pandered to the woke media. Or the
well, don't give away any spoilers.
It's good. All I'm saying is that it's definitely ticking some people off.
Yeah.
But can you think of any controversial TV shows?
Let me see. So I have watched a good amount of TV. Does shows like Fear Factor, does that count? Because that like pops into my head first. You know, that's.
I mean, is that controversial though? Making people eat bugs and
yeah,
stuff?
Yeah, I would think so, because you would think like, you know, there was some pretty crazy stuff on there, like having to eat like goat testicles and things like that. Like, you know,
I don't know. I kind of feel like that's just gross.
Yeah.
But I see where you're going. Where you're going.
Or like Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer. That one's a good one.
Yeah, yeah,
That one's a good one.
yeah,
Because, and he wasn't even the one that really started a lot of it,
yeah,
but I definitely think he perfected a lot of
yeah,
it. I mean, there were all of these other, what we call them daytime talk shows that had done other things.
yeah, yeah. They weren't
And
as
come
crazy.
before him. But
Yeah.
Jerry's was just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, because he had like just different things where people are like, I don't even know, just crazy relationship stories and crazy cheating stories, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. And then, but then who was the other one? Was it Maury Povich?
Yeah,
The one that would be like, "You are not
Yeah,
the father." Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was getting up there.
Okay. How about Jackass?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I remember when that came out. There was almost like hysteria about, are you just teaching kids to do stupid things? Don't do that.
Yeah, and I could see part of that. I'm not usually somebody who's like, TV is bad for kids' brains or whatever, but like I could see like kids wanting to be like, hey, I saw this on Jackass. Let's try to hit
Right.
you in the head with a cinder block.
Well, and I just feel like, I know I'm going to get roasted in the comments for this because I'm not a parent, but like,
yeah,
I remember when Beavis and Butthead came out, which is another controversial
true,
one.
yeah.
And all of these people were flipping out. They're like, you put a cartoon out for children that's not for children. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not for children.
yeah,
Like your 10-year-old should not be watching Beavis
Yeah.
and Butthead, and your 10-year-old should not be watching Jackass.
yeah. And I think that's part of the problem is that there's a lot of adult animation now,
Yeah.
and it's definitely not for kids, but because people think that because it's animated,
Right.
kids should have rights to it.
Right. I don't think South Park is for
Yeah,
kids. If I
yeah.
had kids, I
Oh,
would.
yeah.
They would be teenagers before I let them watch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like at least a 13-year-old or something you can sit down and talk to and be like, hey,
yeah, which I mean, maybe some of those concepts are, still over a 13-year-old's head, but
sure. But I definitely wouldn't let like an 8-year-old
Yeah.
watch Jackass.
yeah, yes, yeah, yeah.
Where they're like, hey, I want to jump off the roof. No.
Yeah, I don't know. Think about it. There have been a good amount of controversial TV shows, but I guess it becomes kind of a slippery slope because there's probably elements of shows that are controversial and not the whole show. You know what I mean?
Well, what about shows that weren't even controversial for, how do I say this? Like their topics, but controversial in the way that it was ran. Like, what about the show 24?
Okay.
There were 24 shows in a season, and they each represented 1 hour
Yeah.
within a 24-hour period that they were. But you got to see things from like different angles.
Yeah.
Like you knew that these people were doing this at this time, and then you found out later on across town this other stuff was happening at the
Yeah,
exact same
yeah,
time. It felt like you're watching a show in real time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. I never watched that show very much. I mean,
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan either.
yeah. But and I think at the beginning of the show I didn't realize that's what it was about until, maybe like halfway through the season or something when someone explained that to me but either way, yeah, it's a very cool idea to do a show.
Right.
So,
Now, a show that I kind of felt like maybe wasn't for kids, but also was written in a way that was very relatable to kids. I don't necessarily think it was that appropriate, but I did watch as a child. Ren and Stimpy.
yeah. Yeah.
Because there was always like talking about farts and flinging their boogers and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
this other stuff.
Yeah.
And there was just like a lot of like adult style gross humor, but it was done in a very childish way.
Yeah. I always wondered, when people come up with these shows that are supposedly for kids, like, but they have adult humor kind of in it. I don't know. I always had questioned those, because I'm sure it's a whole board of people who like this gets pitched to when they have to approve it and everything. It's not just one person,
Right.
making all those decisions, because you have movies like that now that have like, a little hint of an adult joke in there or something, and parents are like, I can't believe that was in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
My kid doesn't understand, but so, But yeah, Ren and Stimpy was pretty. That was pretty controversial. I could see that.
Or another thing I used to watch in the 90s was Liquid Television. Did you ever
Oh
watch
yeah,
that?
yep.
Because my favorite part of that
I
was
bet I know.
what?
It was Eon Flux.
It was Eon Flux. And do you remember that at the end of every short story, she died?
Yeah,
And it was always in a really
Yeah.
screwed up way.
yeah,
And so I'm just watching her die over and over and over again. And
yeah.
I'm like, this cartoon is insane.
yeah. Wasn't like Oddities, or maybe that. I don't know. I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. But I feel like Oddities on MTV was like the whole Liquid Television thing. Wasn't that part of that?
I don't remember everything else on Liquid Television. I just remember Eon Flux was.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody have to Google that and give us some feedback on that.
Yeah, definitely.